I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Trish.
Mrs. Brew?
Here.
Mr. Kramer?
Here.
Mr. Manini?
Here.
Mr. Marraro? Mr. Pop?
I make a motion we excuse Mr. Marraro and Mr. Pop.
We gotta
Support.
do 'em to- Can we do them together? Yeah.
Can we put them together, Kramer?
Yes.
That's fine.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Manini?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Mr. Manini?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Move on to the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of November 21st, 2022.
I move we approve the minutes from the regular meeting of November 21st, 2022.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Manini?
Yes.
Motion for closed session meeting of November 21st, 2022.
I move we approve the minutes for the closed session meeting of November 21st, 2022.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Manini?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. Move on to the approval of the manifest 2022-23. Brett, did you have any questions?
I have none, thank you.
Rico?
No.
I have a couple. On the first page, under the police department maintenance equipment, Chrysler World Incorporated, arm upper, what is that?
On the first page?
Yes.
Oh,
It's the very last one under the police department. I see Pat's here, so
yeah.
maybe Pat can give us a little insight.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what part that was, but it was something Rick looked at after one of the guys hit a deer with the squad car, and he ordered that.
we can verify that one.
Do you know when that happened?
I can't remember the exact date. It was probably 2 days in the deer season,
Okay, just approximate.
2 or 3 days in.
And then I also had on electric hydro plant, FDS, troubleshooting on unit number 2 and 4. I was wondering what we're looking for there.
I know they were having some issues with it. I don't know exactly what the issues were. I just know they had FDS troubleshooting the issue. I can get an idea of what exactly the problem was. Whatever it was, I know they fixed it. But I'll run down exactly what the problem was.
Okay, just questioning because 2 and 4, so I was wondering. So if you'll get back to me on that. That's all I have. Do I have a motion on the manifest?
I move to approve manifest 2022-23 in the amount of $545,987.31.
Support.
Mr. Manini?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Move on to public comments. Anyone in attendance wishing to address the council on any item of interest shall do so now at the podium. State your name, address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. Anyone in attendance wishing to address the council on an agenda item only shall do so now at the podium. State your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes. We'll move on to appointments and presentations. WPPI Alternative Director appointment.
So, Jesse's here from WPPI, if he wants to speak on it, but this is, so for WPPI, I'm the designated director, and we have an alternate. Lisa was the alternate. With Scott Hagee coming back, it seemed to make more sense to have him as the alternate. The one time I've gone down to a meeting, I was one of maybe 2 managers there. The rest were department heads of the electric. So I would like to have him as the alternate, so I can send him, or we can go together
Okay.
for these kind of.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think you have to go to every one of them, but there
No.
is some of them that will really, and I know Scott can tell you too, but there's some information that we get through WPPI that's really informative.
And I would like to still go to some, but I'd like to have him there with me, because he knows what they're talking about, I don't.
Right.
So, but if you want to ask Jesse, he's our rep, he's here as well, but.
Yeah, probably speak on history, and I'm happy to, and talk to reasoning and everything.
It's up to the council. If you're okay with it, then we can move forward.
No. And it's really, that'll help you learn.
Yeah.
Do anybody have any questions? If not, make a motion.
And we do have, my recommendation for the motion is to remove Lisa. They will need that full motion to make the change.
I make a motion, go ahead. Me?
Go ahead.
I make a motion to remove Lisa Schultz as the WPPI Board of Directors alternate and add Scott Hagee as the WPPI Board of Directors alternate.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Action items, did you have anything you wanted to say before I move on? No. No? You're good? All right. And thank you for, our partnership with you guys, and send that back to everybody. All right. Discussion action, sewer credit policy.
So, as we're all aware, we paused that program over the summer just to kind of see where some of our issues may or may not be. That summer period has gone by, and we've collected some of the data and just took a look at it and came up with a little bit of a summary. Brock is here if you want to ask him questions. I came away with kind of 4 basic talking points here. Is that the pause didn't change our treated versus sold disparity. It wasn't impacted in a significant way. We received more revenue without the policy, which we anticipated.
How much more? I didn't get a chance.
Depending, if you look at the 3-year average.
It wasn't much more.
2022, this year with no policy was 115,000, last year was 93,000, and 20 was 100,000 in those 3 months. So, it made a,
20
depending
grand.
on which year you look.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
less than a 20 for the 3-year.
Okay, maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but it's the page of the 2021, 22,
So,
Brock?
That's not gonna give you, amounts.
Okay, but I have a question on
Oh,
that.
yep.
Do you know where I'm at?
Nope.
Okay, on the page that says 2021, do you have that? 2022,
Yep, all numbers?
with all the numbers, the 2 boxes? How come in 2021, the loss of percentages were higher this year than last year? Even though we had the credit on there.
Yep, the loss is of what is pumped from the well site to what is treated at the plant. That is what that loss means. It has nothing to do with sewer credit this year or last year. It's what is actually coming out of the ground and what we're treating. That's what you're seeing as a loss.
Right, so, but there is more of a loss in 22.
Yeah, I mean, we could go back to the year before, it's opposite. There's so many variables in this, it's hard to track down what is actually happening. That's all I can tell you is that what we're treating and what we're getting revenue off of. So when it leaves that well site, I don't know what's happening, and by the time it gets to us, it's just Pandora's box. It's very confusing.
Right.
Right,
There's-
and then, yeah, because it was a 2021, you got 38.42%, and then in June of 22, we lost 53.79%.
Yeah.
So that didn't really help us from that point.
No,
Yeah, the credit policy did nothing to change the disparity between
no.
treated.
and I don't think.
That's
it
how
did
much
anything
wall
to
water is
change.
physically we're physically losing between the
Right.
well and the transfer.
Yeah, so
Or
the-
in, before it gets to Brock.
Correct. The number 4 is we still have a water loss problem in the system that this is not attributed. The credit
Yeah.
is not attributing to that
Yeah.
at all.
Well, you ain't got all the new meters in yet either, so.
Well, when you look at some of the others, it's, I think it could be from the starting point, which is the wellhead, or it could be every individual meter that is either not reading or reading improperly. So this is just one of those
And
things
we got
that,
some breakage, I'm sure, out there too. We
Sure.
could.
There's
we
lots,
could.
I believe.
In most cases, it's always a combination of all those
Right.
factors.
But the bottom line is, we did not save by not.
it did not, the idea of the sold and treated, it was negligible with the policy not being there.
Right, so
That
there
wa-
was no savings at all.
But we're still, I believe that people are still using because we're seeing that gallonage come through the plant.
Say that again, Brock.
I believe that people are still using the water, we'll call it inappropriately, because when we're treating 9 million gallons versus 7 million last year, it's still coming to the plant. And that's why we receive the revenue. It's not all because of the grass waters. That water is still coming here. People are just doing it and paying for it.
So, so is there any savings to that though?
There's added revenue. Because we physically are treating 9 million gallons. So those who are the 6 people houses, they're still using that water. And they'll use it no matter what it costs. That's what I believe.
Right, but what does that have to do with the water credit in the summer? No, where I'm looking is there a savings at all? No.
You mean did we solve our problem with the
Yeah,
figuring out?
did we make
We did
any more
not.
money?
We made more, yes, we made more money, of course, because people are paying for the water that we normally would have given them credit for. So we certainly are making more money. The consumption of water was up, actually, this year. But there are so many factors from when people are using water, whether it's a dry season, a wet season. Year to year, consumption can go up or down. But the sewer credit policy, not having it in the summer didn't solve the problem, saying that was the reason why we had such a disparity. Correct, Brock? Is that-
Correct.
Certainly we'll make more money if we don't have the policy, because people are still gonna use that water.
What was the bottom line of what we made for them 3 months over? And I'm only asking, Brock, because I didn't have time to look at this.
No, that's cool. We got time to talk
Really
about
good.
this.
About 20,000 in those 3 months. That's how much extra revenue we received.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right here, is just the usage charge.
Yep.
Usage charges total on tab number 2 there. The difference between this year with no sewer credit, 115,000
it.
versus last year with 97, so less than 22,000,
Yeah.
which is nothing to shake a stick at,
No,
but,
so we did save about 20,
Yeah,
where we
yeah.
profited.
We treated,
Yeah.
we were treating more of the water that was passing, we were
We're
treating it, they
being
were paying
compensated for
it.
that,
Right,
which we were treated.
right. Which we expected. I mean, if we're not gonna have a credit and people still use that water,
Right.
they're
I
paying
guess
for
that
it.
was my bottom line question, and I
you're
apologize,
good.
I didn't get to look at this real good beforehand, so.
well, you looked at those other sheets, that was
So,
Greek to me.
yeah, right. I try to make it as simple on the first page, just showing you the last 3 years of those June, July, August months in sold average, treated average, pumped average, consumption average, and then the usage charge average, or totals, not average on usage charge. So you can see that of those last three of those years, we made more money. That's the biggest change, which
Does make a difference.
certainly, in revenue, 100%, which we assumed that would happen, unless people started using less.
Right.
Which they didn't. Consumption was up, a million or so.
I guess I was concentrating too much on them 2 boxes that, but I understand now.
Yep, these ones here are purely the pumped, sold, treated, and lost, and these back pages here or more of your consumption and your charges. So you have 3/4, I only include 3/4 because that's your residential. And we have city and township, so you can see your meter counts, meter charges, flat rates, consumption is the amount used, and then that usage charge is based on that consumption. So over this summer, we had more consumption than the previous summer. And then in 20, we had more consumption than in 21. So the
It's
consumption.
hard to
it's-
compare apples to
The
apples.
consumption is, it's all, weather factors, and there's so much to kind of take into account. I think the bottom line is it didn't solve the water loss issue.
Right,
So,
I didn't think it would.
no, I mean, we didn't know, but it's one to check off that we know that's not where the source is. It could be the wellhead, it could be all the individual meters, so that's another step of, we'll know when that goes.
If there's some type of list or sign up or whatever needs to be done to get the meter replacement started, you can put my house right on top of the list.
Yep.
All someone's gotta do is give me a call and I'll unlock the door and away we
That,
go.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
hate to be repeating over and over. You
Yep.
know, We're probably
calling-
going on 8 years, and I'm tired, we've spent all that money, and we still don't have
Yep,
the
we
meters.
call people every day, trying to make appointments, and we do have a list of the ones we know they're broken that we're trying to fix first. Going into the next budget, I think we need to allocate the appropriate amount of funds that someone would need to put them in outside of us, outside of our 8 hour during the day when people aren't home. Some can accommodate, some can't. At some point, those who just say no, we have to respond to them appropriately, because we have a legal obligation to go in there and change those meters.
But yeah, at some point, you should be able to.
The percentage of loss though, from 2021 to 2022, I don't know how many meters got put in 21, if many at all. But the loss percentage went up. So even with changing the meters, our losses are still going up.
I think we have a known issue at the wellhead, that meter. It's not like, that's one thing that is gonna have to be addressed in this coming budget, is to make sure that that's replaced. We know that what's coming from the source to start is correct, because it sounds like it may not be 100% accurate. So that's also, it's the water meter, whether it's at the well pump or in the individual house, I think is, obviously, we gotta get corrected.
I mean, it's pretty consistent of about a 48% average loss over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
And that's ridiculous.
It's a lot. That's,
Well,
that's
and
a
it
lot.
could be if if the numbers are wrong from the very source of it, that could give us a bad starting point. If the meters are all wrong or happening, I'm hoping that those two things, once fixed, will.
I want it done as soon as we can,
So I said, put my name at the top of the list.
as soon as possible.
No, and that's just it. In 2017, we treated more than we pumped. I'm not sure how that's possible.
That could be also runoff.
Yeah,
I mean,
Maybe
there's-
It's
runoff
a, it's a
or
possibility of runoff and faulty metering coming from the
Yeah.
website, which has happened historically quite a few times.
Oh, these meters should have been put in a long time ago. I'm very upset about this. I've said it time and time again. We gotta do something, even if you're not losing it in the meters. I mean, all this money we put into it, by the time we get these meters in, these meters are gonna be
Obsolete,
obsolete, and what was it, 800,000, I think, or more? Maybe, I think it's even more, that we put into this.
Oh, I'm certain with the amount of meters you guys have here, yeah. And a 6 or 7 year project. Yeah, that's,
Really upsetting.
back to the sewer credit portion of it.
And I'm not just, I
Oh,
know you
no.
weren't here for some of that.
I would like to definitely see some kind of application process for the sewer credit coming this summer. I don't know what that criteria would look like, Brock. I mean, maybe you have a better insight on what that criteria for that application
We've talked
process.
a little bit.
yep, so, we have kind of a 6-point in this memo that, things that we think council might wanna consider, when we
bottom
bring
there.
it back, and that focuses primarily on single-family homes, verifying what their need is for, it's for gardens or for lawns, and kind of for council too, to discuss, what is the main goal of it? And then that kind of helps build the direction we're going in evaluating who would get it or not. As I've said before, like myself, this summer, I could have feasibly come in and got the water credit policy. I live in an apartment. I don't water my lawn, I shouldn't be eligible. So that's where our kind of 6 guiding principles here is something for council to consider. Again, only single-family homes, no multi-metered residential units like duplexes or apartments unless it has a dedicated meter for that complex. We don't really think a second meter for every residential home, I think is a bit
Much.
Unrealistic.
We can't even get the meters in for regular, we're
Right.
gonna put.
And
two
it's
meters in.
just not that simple. So I think it's, simple steps here, single family, residential home, why do you need it? I have a big garden, I wanna water my lawn, okay. Let's go take a look. Oh, you have a garden? Sure, sign up. As I said, from a conservation standpoint, I don't know if promoting watering your lawn during a drought is necessarily a good reason for it, but that's for council. And maybe if we do have a gallon limit. If you have a garden and we have your average, maybe we allow you an extra 5,000 or 6,000 gallons or whatever that
Right.
you might need, but maybe we don't want you to use 20,000. Maybe again, it's a conservation discussion a little bit, but, so if council has, any thoughts on our 1 to 6 here, we can kind of have that conversation and then we can bring back to you kind of a redeveloped, process in a written form.
How many meters did we get in from the last time?
I'd have to ask. It was hunting season, so I'm sure it's down. We're trying to still do the 15. We're gonna have to hire people that we'll have to hire people to work weekends and nights, or we're gonna have to pay our guys overtime to do it. And at some point, we can only give people as much opportunity during the day that they have to be there, but it is during the day. We are asking people to be home. Not everyone can so easily accommodate that. So if we need to start looking into the evenings and on weekends, that's either our guys doing overtime, which we can schedule to do, or we need to go back to contracting.
Third party.
And we need to find out what is realistic for those contractors, what they really need. If it's, mileage, gas, whatever it is, we need to build this into a price so we can budget that going forward. But those are kind of our options. If we want to do overtime, we can look at doing that.
Any other comments for that?
I like the 6 points. I think that's a great start. If not a complete package there, but that's a great framework.
We'll move on to item number 3, discussion action, police department patrol sergeant position.
I can touch on this, and then Chief Wilkie is here to answer questions. This was approached, Chief Wilkie and I, about developing the patrol sergeant position. This was created, in my understanding, when then Officer Wilkie was being promoted to chief, I think as a way to get him into the managerial fold with the previous chief to start helping him get ready for that transition.
Right, because before we never had that.
Correct. So this would be a way to bring him a true second in command, so when he is out of reach, there is that person to go to, as well as the potential long-term for succession planning. I kind of give a brief amount from a budgetary standpoint. Most of our officers that would be eligible, because this would be an internal promotion. We wouldn't be looking to add an officer or promote somebody and then replace that person. This would be strictly internally promoting a current one to the next level. Of those officers that would be eligible, they're all at the same pay tier. So between what they're getting paid, base pay, and moving into the current pay of the sergeant, which is in our union contract, it's about $3,000 a year for the remaining of this year, and about $31 next year, and every year it goes up a little bit, just like the regular pay. As far as in the budget, I can't say that in the regular salary portion, it was accounted for, that 3,000, but we do have the part-time of 21,000 that I don't suspect will be used. So if we implement it this year,
But it is
overall, that
long
budget,
term.
yeah, I mean, I would approach this as, if you're going to go with the patrol sergeant position, you should look at it as a long-term impact into that department. If we put someone in there, you know, they could potentially be in there for quite some time, so this would be a long-term planning for the council.
Pat, what did we do before this? Who was second in charge?
There really wasn't a second in charge, it's just a seniority-based concept, really.
Huh?
Just a seniority-based concept, it just, you went by what other officers had most seniority, and they just assisted the chief. That's what the current structure is.
Because I know that we put this in for you, and I understand your reasonings here, you know, to get you ready, and I understand you'd like to get the next person ready.
Right.
I have two things. First of all, this comes out of our general fund, right?
It does.
Okay. Second of all, if I'm gonna make any decisions, I do want to see what this year's audit looks like. I know it doesn't project what's going to happen later, but I do need to, I wanna hear what Scott Sternhagen says with our audit.
Okay.
And that's just my feeling.
Yep.
It's nothing against saying I want it or I don't want it. I really feel I need the numbers and I wanna see how things are going, especially this year is a little different because we always had Scott Kenny do it before and stuff. We got a new auditor. Just wanna get the feel of where he's at with our budget, especially the general fund, because our general fund doesn't look that great. And I know it's not a whole lot of money right now. You know, if we're just projected to that, I might be okay to do it, but we gotta look long-term too.
Yeah, and it would be, you know, it would be a long-term investment. And I hope the audit, we hope it'll be completed here shortly. We got a little hung up with some
There was a few
retiree
things-
stuff, but we're past that now.
Right, and I did talk to Scott, and he said sometime after the first of the year.
Okay. And he will come in and present.
And I think what we'll do from now on, maybe we'll have to start the audit a little bit earlier, but he also had a few snags that he wasn't expecting.
I think this year, their first year, there was a lot of learning. It should go a little smoother, considerably. I think next year, now that they
Right.
had a year of our stuff and we learned their stuff, and
Right.
it'll be more streamlined.
Did you have something?
So moving away from a strictly seniority-based system to select, hire, interview the second in command, are you looking at these necessary knowledge and skills, abilities here that you have listed?
Yeah.
Um,
Ones that we had listed for.
interviewed and selected by you?
It's, actually, it's more on a seniority-based, system, the way the contract, the union contract
Uh-huh.
states. The highest seniority guy would get the opportunity to take that position.
What if they don't have these necessary knowledge, skills, and abilities?
Well, he would have to have those knowledge and skills.
Okay, so it
There'd
won't
have to
be,
a very specific reason that he couldn't
okay,
do that position. He would have the opportunity to try it.
all right. So it won't be just solely based on who's been here the longest. You're gonna need to have these skills and
who signs up,
abilities.
Right,
Yeah, who wants it?
yep. Correct.
And then who has these skills and abilities, not just what
Correct.
date were you hired on, what date, oh, you get it. I want to make sure that there's some differentiation there, to make sure we're getting the most qualified person. I understand years of service is a massive bonus for trying to hire someone into these positions, but I also want to make sure that that person, you know, has the right knowledge, skills, and abilities, has done all these extras, to be able to prepare themselves for an increased role, potentially in the future. So I just want to reiterate that. Best person for the job.
And we do have that patrol sergeant position in the contract till 24, so if we were looking till after the audit or next budget, we, you know, it is there.
Brett, did you have anything?
I don't, I think that I'm on almost the same path as Candy. I'd like to see what the general fund is gonna look like in an audit before I make any decision, because this is a direct impact on that general fund. I would like to see that first, I think.
So if we use this recommendation on the bottom but omit the word fill, will that help this process get moving? If we just talk about granting permission to internally post, so we can see who our people who are interested in the position are?
I don't want to, I need to know if we have the monies.
We can figure that, we
Projected.
can figure that out while we're posting, though.
I don't
Just-
want to post it.
I would like to post it.
Okay. Because why post it what if we don't have the money?
That doesn't affect posting it or not. If we don't post it, and we find out we do have the money, then we're gonna have to post, and it could be another month or two, or another meeting or two. I see value in the position if the funds are there.
So how would you, just kind of working through this, typically for, you know, this position, council wouldn't see the hiring process, they wouldn't be involved in that hiring process. So I guess I'd be looking for the direction, if you guys wanted to post it but not fill it, how would we, I'm just trying to figure how we would navigate that if we,
Well, we posted to see who's interested.
and then I guess we would just.
And that's gonna give us numbers, financial numbers, based off of what is this gonna cost.
They'll be the same across, there's only, as far as like which officer might, they're all the salaries that.
So
would
everyone will
qualify are the same.
automatically get bumped up to that? Okay.
Yep, it's, because all of our current officers, except for our brand new officer, I believe is at the same current pay rate. So this number, my extra 3,000 is
Okay.
based on that scale.
Everyone's all the same?
I'm pretty sure they're
All right.
all meet at that current level.
Okay.
So, yeah,
That makes it smoother.
yeah. And the lowest guy, he wouldn't qualify for this.
I just don't think it's a good, to post it because, you know, then you're saying we're probably gonna fill this position and have people fill it out, so.
I'd say the only thing I'd want to just verify from a union standpoint, because I'm still, you know, new with the unions, is can we post?
Without filling?
Right, I would want to verify that. Just 'cause I'm not 100%
So
sure.
get the ball rolling. When's the audit gonna come in?
January.
We're hoping,
Hoping. All right.
it shouldn't be much longer, because we have.
It should be January.
We have certain things we have to send that audit into, so,
Yeah.
it's gonna have to be pretty dang soon.
When I talked to him on the phone, he said sometime in January. And I'm gonna hold him to it.
We
Unless
had a-
there's something that snags it.
So we had a 3 or 4 week retirement thing we had to,
Yeah.
you know, get cleared up.
All right, I just want it on the record, even if the, it says you can post it, I'm against that. Until we know. I don't know if there's a vote you wanna take.
I would like some formal clarity on how council would like us to proceed.
We'd be better off to not do anything with it.
Yeah, if we don't have any clarity on how to word it.
Well, I can bring back to council at least one, just a clarification on, from a union standpoint, posting to not be required to fill. I can certainly get that information. Like I said, pay of the ones we have that were qualified, they're all the same. I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive I checked it. They're at the same pay scale.
I know, through our state public employee union at school, we had similar, education had similar verbiage in their contracts about, posting needed to be internal for X amount of days, and then, which has all been eliminated now, generally because of the drag, if you will, on, the process. Not rushing to hire the wrong person for the wrong role, but posting both internally and externally, if you will, at the same time. And then, on top of that, they removed the stipulation that an opening had to be present for a posting to apply. I don't know if it's the same with our union
I
here.
think,
So I think it's a good idea to check into that.
and I think in this position, you can check, I don't think it has to be posted outside.
Well, in our whole idea here is to only have this as an internal promotion. We can't afford to add a new
Right.
officer.
And I don't think you
Yeah.
have to do that.
So this was purely an internal promotion where we wouldn't then fill an older position. This would just be,
And I think your contract, when you look at it, will guide you in the right direction with that.
right.
So Pat, it's nothing against the position or anything.
It's a good
Just
idea.
so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm for the idea.
Well, we'll just bring you guys some more information down the road, and as we get into the audit, maybe after the audit, along with it, we'll have some union stuff, and then whenever council would like to see it again,
Bring it back.
do that.
Okay, and we'll move on to discussion action. You didn't need anything for that, did you? We didn't have to do anything with that because it was just discussion. Council meeting schedule.
So this is two things. One, this is the 2023 schedule for the council. We made a couple changes from our regular second and, second and third Mondays for holiday considerations. So proposed meetings in yellow, the circled are a change from the regular first to third, I'm sorry. Like January normally would be Monday the 2nd. We're closed that day, so moving it to the 9th, and then subsequently the 23rd to shift that first and third, go to the 2nd and 4th in that case. So this is just your basic 2023 calendar schedule like we are in the 22. The other caveat to this is what council has discussed a couple of times, was to change the time from 7 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So I guess there's, you can approve this in one motion, and I would state the change in time, or if something doesn't work, then you can approve the schedule as presented, and then state, not changing the time or a different time, however you'd like to proceed.
I'd like to throw a different option in there at you. If we could go for the months January, February, March, April, and May, if we could stick to, or if we could change and go to Wednesdays, and then June through whatever let's call it summer months, we could go back to a Monday.
I mean, from my perspective, I don't know if it matters to staff. You two staff are the only others that have to be there. I mean, we're here.
Well, Rico's gonna run into this, Scott runs into it, I run into it,
Grant runs.
Grant runs into it. In the fall, winter months, all of our kids are in sports. And that's typically played on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. We're in the summer, if Monday it is, there's some sporting events still, but I think in the summer, it's pretty much 5 days a week in the
Any day,
summer.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not really a set day.
If we do stay to Mondays, I know said that last time, I could do 6 o'clock. Things have changed. On Mondays, I would not be able to do it till 7. On Wednesdays, I could do earlier. But on Mondays and Tuesdays, I wouldn't be able to come till, well, if we did a Monday or Tuesday, I wouldn't be able to come till 7.
Let's just scratch out this.
I mean, yeah, it's whatever.
We're 5 people that are just hard to please.
I mean, is this
I don't know.
schedule, the dates currently is basically a mirror of
Yeah.
this current year and probably the last year. Any changes you guys want to make, as long as it's 2 days out of the month, however you guys want to do it.
I like what Brett's thinking. That's gonna help accommodate Candy as well. If we can talk to Councilmember Moraro and find out when his summer conflict starts, and if we can come up with some sort of hybrid between the two, that way we could do the earlier for the majority of the year. Not compensating, but, working with the majority of the council and other, conflicts they might have, where in the summer months, we can accommodate.
I mean, I'm open to whatever you guys want to do. It doesn't
Yeah.
really,
Get a hold of
Yeah.
Jeff, see when his league starts.
He's gonna start in May. That's what if you're talking about Jeff.
Yeah.
Pine Grove opens mid-April usually. Usually folks start playing in
Yeah.
May if they're lucky.
Runs through.
And then usually ends, September, but they close in October, so I think in September he stops starts slowing down in September. The only conflict I see going, Wednesdays in the months of January, February, March, and April, September, October, November, December, would be November 15th.
yeah.
It's the only conflicting date if you were to keep it, if you were to go to Wednesdays on them different months.
And the week after that's probably Thanksgiving, yeah. Or no?
Yeah.
Well, if you kept
It's always on
it,
a Thursday.
22nd's on that Wednesday before, but the 15th is your second Wednesday in November.
well, if you kept it like in November, the regular meeting, if we, same week to Wednesday, would be the 8th and 22nd.
No,
But the
that-
23rd isn't Thanksgiving, the 30th is Thanksgiving, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that'd work.
yeah.
If we
Because
just,
the
if we kick that
November,
month back.
the second,
To the
or the
second and
first
fourth.
and third Monday in November, because that would be the 8th and 22nd for a Wednesday, because right now it's the 6th and 20th on that week's Monday.
Oh, it's actually the first, November 1st and November 15th.
Oh, because you're
Well, we
right,
could
if we
move it
did,
to the 8th and 22nd.
Yeah, keep it on Wednesdays, just bump them back.
yeah, you could keep it on that.
And just go. 8th and
Well, that would
22nd.
change it a little bit, wouldn't it? Because you're right, that's not it would be the,
So January would be 4th and 18th, February 1st and 15th,
Yep.
March 1st and 15th, April 5th and 19th.
Then May would go back to your Mondays.
Okay.
so the 1st and 15th.
June 5th and 19th, July, what should we do with July?
10th and 24th.
Okay, you like that, August 7th and 21st, September 5th and 18th?
Well, in September, you'd think about going back to like the 6th and 20th. Then you go back to your Wednesdays.
Well, we gotta find out when their league is done.
Oh, yeah, with that exception, right? I mean, just for dates, that's where I'd go back to Wednesdays, the 6th and the 20th.
Okay, and possibly, and then October 4th, 18th. November, we will move to 8th and 22nd, and December would be 6th and 20th.
I mean, if you want time to go through that schedule to make sure that it works for everybody, but
Yeah, I don't think we should approve it, but I think you should get the,
We can do this with the,
yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe email it out so we
Yep.
can.
I mean, I don't know how that works for everybody else, but, you know, just kind of a
No, it's a good idea.
half and half, you know, yeah, got conflicting dates in the summer and we got conflicting dates in the winter, let's call it.
And what about the time? Did we say time?
Me personally, I still like the 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Just for, you know, the later works better for me. But again, that's my opinion.
I guess the time for, I mean, you guys can discuss that, I mean.
I know I can do
There too,
Wednesdays earlier if everybody wants to do it.
And that's just it. If Wednesdays, everybody can come earlier in the winter, okay, fine, you know, that's fine. It's dark at 5:30 in the summer. It's pretty hard to quit whatever I'm doing by 7 or before 7.
Well, we'll start with changing the dates.
Yep.
And then you guys can kind of discuss the time and start jotting that down as well.
Alrighty,
Thanks for working with everybody.
yeah. And it's hard to get everybody.
Whatever you guys want to do, we're here to accommodate you. Not Grant, but for you guys.
I appreciate it. Councilman Morrow wasn't here to rip me that you take.
Yeah, yes, that's the first thing I thought of. All right, we'll move on to mayor council comments. Brett,
I have none, thank you.
Rico?
Every year, especially with, you know, my growing young family, I'm impressed by the amount of people from in and outside our community that come for our tiny little Norway Christmas parade. It's a neat thing to see. Yeah, I want to thank our high school boys and girls basketball teams that jumped onto the sleigh float
That was
and rode with Santa and Mrs. Claus. That was a neat addition to see the young people and all the friends and family that came out to see the young people in the parade.
Who was singing
It was the boys and girls basketball teams.
basketball?
Yeah, varsity basketball teams with, yeah, Coach, I don't know if Coach Kramer was there, but,
I don't think she went.
Coach Adams and
Coach Adams.
Coach Kelly were. Yeah, that was neat to see.
Make sure we get a thank you out to them.
And Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
Unfortunately, this year I didn't get to see the parade or be part of the parade, but
Me either.
from what I'm hearing,
Right.
it was, it went off great. I heard we had great attendance, the fireworks was good, so it's a great thing and it brings people to the community and anything for kids in this community is awesome. You have any comments, Grant?
Just I noticed in the executive memo, wanted to make sure that Mr. Spence was publicly thanked for all his
Yes.
time and dedication with the DDA, reading the workup. I've heard council and city managers, both past and current, talk about how much time and effort he put forth in helping out the community and helping out and working with the DDA and was responsible for a lot within the community. So thank you, Mr. Spence, for his years of service and volunteering with the community. That's all I have.
That was good, and yeah, and Terry really used to work hard on making sure every light on Main Street was lit and got things done here, so, I'd like to thank him for all the years of dedication to the city, and, we miss him.
One thing, question for Brock, quick. Is a congratulations in line for another water license, did I hear?
For
Cheryl, did she get a water license?
the fours, yep. Entry level, D4.
But she
S4.
did pass the initial water license test. Congratulations to her.
Congratulations to her. All right, did you have anything?
Just a couple of quick things to add to the Santa parade on the second. That was my first experience. I wasn't sure what to expect. It was far busier than I expected it to be. I thought it was great. I was watching our candy canes dwindle and dwindle. I was getting a little nervous, but we had enough. And you know, I think I learned some things. I think we're looking at some new ways we can improve it and make it even better. Working with Terry Spence, obviously he gets very involved in the lights. I think we have a lot of ideas on the horizon for our lighting and working with him and I started making notes for my 2023 stuff, and I have Christmas lighting on there. I think we have some good ideas, so, and Terry's still around.
Yeah.
He and I will still talk, and, we'll make sure our trees are lit, and we'll talk about lights and all that. We have some good ideas coming up, but I was very impressed, and I thought the turnout was great. One other quick little thing about the, recorded meetings. I know on TV, some of the audio is still a little shaky. We are going to be submitting a grant for new equipment. On our YouTube channel, the audio seems to be pretty fine. That's not gonna stop us from getting new equipment and trying to figure out why that connection isn't working, but if anyone's out there has an issue hearing it through the TV, there is a link on our website that will take you to our YouTube page, and the audio seems to be much better there, at least in the interim. So we are working.
Do we have something on our channel saying that? Because I've been getting stopped by a few.
We were talking about putting that on the channel, directing people, as well as on our, giving a direct link on Facebook. I know there are some in the community that have a hard time figuring out how to get there. If anyone comes in, we're happy to kind of to show you the website, and it's one click away.
And some of them don't have.
And there's that too, right? So I don't know why audio is working fine there, but not translating to the channel. That'll be part of our figuring out the upgrade, but we do have a grant in place that we're going to submit to hopefully get. It's a $12,000 to $13,000 upgrade, so we're hoping to get that funded here shortly.
All right. Anything else?
Nothing.
If not, I need a motion to go into closed session. And when we go into closed session, when we come out, we will not be taking any action. And we are going into closed session for manager's evaluation.
Make a motion, we go into closed session, MCLA 15.268, Section 8C, City Manager Evaluation.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menigini?
Yes.
That's